Once again, welcome back to the plot.
Okay, right, well, good morning everybody. It's a bit chilly this morning, but I'm up here nice and early on the plot. Of course, I'm not the only one up. The pigeon lads are already here. I've come up first thing. It's now 7:15 in the morning, and while Roger's still burning his bum in Spain, I'm up here bright and early to put the whoopie hoses off. I come up last night around about 7 o'clock, make sure all the plotters, everybody else was away. Of course, Good Friday, you don't get many up here. But I come up here last thing, put the wheaty hoses on, right through the tunnels and the main greenhouse, switch it on and let it drip all night. And it's just be nice steady drip, and it gives the potatoes and the spring cabbage a really good soaking. So I'm pleased with that. But like I say, I've come up first thing this morning just to get cracking, turn the hoses off because there'll be other plotters coming up soon. On a Saturday morning, but the pigeon lads, are already here, so I'm not the only one that's up here. I want to get a couple of little jobs done this morning. The first thing, if you look behind us here, we don't often see up this top end of the garden, but that's our rhubarb bed. Now that job there, believe it or not, was a job I was going to do 4 years ago, before I fell off this roof and snapped my leg. So this is definitely on the cards for this year. Back in the year, September, October time, we'll dig part of the rhubarb out, we'll dig half a trench out and leave half in, because once you separate rhubarb, you're not supposed to touch it for at least a year. So what I'll be doing, I'll be digging half it up, splitting the roots, pick a nice new bed, plant them, and the following year I can dig the rest of it up, re-muck the bed, plenty of fertilisers in, and plant the last of them, spread them out back into that rhubarb bed. Doesn't do them any harm. It says that as long as there's plenty of manure and plenty of moisture, and that's what the rhubarb likes. So that's it. That's definitely a job on the card for this year. But we'll look at that in September. And of course, if you've got a big rhubarb patch that you want to split and you want to give away to family and friends, parts of it, we'll show you how to do it. Quite easy enough job. But it's just getting them roots frosted before you put them back in. So we'll pick a couple of nice cold mornings when it's really cold. And of course the frost helps the buds form and sets them up and growing away for a really good year again. But as I say, this is I think this is now 11-year-old, this trench. So it was really, you should divide it every 5 years if you get a big rhubarb clump, because what happens is it starts rotting from the inside out over, and far better to split it and make some nice fresh young rhubarb. And it keeps growing and growing. Mind, the vigour on this hasn't died down too much. It's absolutely fantastic. We've got some great crops from it. But as I say, everything comes through. You've got to come to an end sometime with that, and this is one of the jobs that definitely got to be done this year. What I'm going to do this morning, had enough rain here in the northeast to really bolster it up, so it's looking really lovely and fresh. And of course, makes a fantastic rhubarb pie or rhubarb crumble, whatever you fancy. And I'll be getting one hopefully this Sunday. But not so much to waste. Never waste anything, me, not up here. Get out your saline knife. There's your pudding. And there's what we're talking about this week. That's our spray. Now, the strawberries in there, they're in dire need now. I've been checking them over day by day. We're starting to get a bit of whitefly building up on them. So now's the time to get cracking. Or get canny with your sprays. And the stacks of stuff you can use in the garden. This is just one of them. But be careful, as I say, if you're watching my Facebook page, and I reported the other night, I'm going to be cracking with the spray. Just be careful, the leaves are toxin. So keep away from your pets, keep away from your kids. What I like to do in the winter months, because you haven't got any rhubarb then, I mean, you can't get it in the shop, but you haven't got any leaves on, that's the trouble. What I like to do at the back end of the year when it's dying off is to wrap a few leaves up and put them in a carrier bag, put them in a plastic bag, make sure you mark them and put them in the freezer. and you can still get a couple of sprays in midwinter. 9 times out of 10 you'll not need one because all the pests die back in the winter, but you still get some creepy crawlies knocking around. So you know, if you want to make yourself a spray up, just put a couple of them in the freezer. Just make sure they're well marked, that the wife doesn't take them as kill and you end up with a dicky stomach for about 3 or 4 weeks. So just be careful. But anyway, the day's the day. I want a couple of good rhubarb leaves, nice sharp knife. I'm working from the shed today. But, I've done a little bit tidying up, so I can get manoeuvring a bit, and I'll show you some of the things you're going to need. Just opening this here. I've got my gas there. I've got my gas stove. I've got my pan. We'll be doing a second spray, and that's this one here. Now it's imperative that you do this one at the garden, or if you're doing it at home, make sure you open the windows. I'd done this 3 or 4 years ago, and I absolutely stunk the flat out for about 4 days. So the wife wasn't too pleased with us. But this is a garlic spray, but we'll put that to one side just for the time being, and we'll crack on with the rhubarb. But you don't have to do anything fancy with it. If you want to wear gloves, that's fine. But I never do. Just get yourself either a sharp knife or a... And what you want to do, you want to rip your leaves up and measure it. Now I'll have to rip another leaf up because it depends on how big a mixture you want, how much you're going to use. You need to just turn this around, judging by the amount you want. I always use me measures. So if you fill that up to the top, you press rhubarb leaves in there, you fill that right at the top, put it in your bin, and then you want the same fresh water. So it doesn't matter what container you use, what size you use. 1 of leaves, 1 of fresh water. So fresh water in. Turn my gas on. Same away. Get the old gas cutter going. I normally just use it for fancy a cup of, especially in the winter months, if fancy a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. First thing, gets the gas going. Oh, that's burning away lovely. Right, so the pan's on the gas here now. What you want to do is with that amount of water, just keep watching it. You want to bring it to the boil first, then you want to simmer it for at least 25 minutes. And your rhubarb will just start and shred. It'll go just like what when you overcook your vegetables, your spinach, and it just goes like that. Really shreddy, and that's great. That's what you want. So, an extra 25 minutes just on a really low boil, just a roaring boil, simmering, let it cook out. And take it off the gas once you've had that on. Then and you should have a little bit of liquid left in a pan. That's why normally, when I'm doing mine, I use a full one of them and a full one of water. So I'll make a really good amount, because I've got like 2 tunnels and a greenhouse to spray. Plus I've got the raspberry canes to do. I've got the grapevines to do. There's lots you can spray with this with the rhubarb. And that's step 1. As I say, once it's boiled, all you need is that's what I like to use. This is one of the old flour sieves that the wife didn't want anymore, so I thought it's a great little help for me. I use that. Put it in a pan, put it in a bucket or a pan, whatever, on the top there. And then a bit of muslin cloth, quite easy to get. They're old kitchen cloths that you can buy in any hardware store. Bit of muslin, put that over the top like that, so you've doubled your sieve. You'll need to do it with the rhubarb because you get very fine strands of rhubarb leaf skin, very fine strands, and it'll block your spray out. It just remembers it. So what you want to do, you want to pour it into there and just let that drip for a good couple of hours. Or do it when it's hot. Pour it straight in there. Once you've mixed it up a few times, pour it in there and just let that drip in there. And then whatever liquid you've got in the bottom of the bucket, you mix that 2 to 1 with water, with clean, cool, fresh water. Doesn't have to be hot, just cool, fresh water. And then the main thing is a couple of good drops of washing up liquid. Any washing up liquid will do, or soft soap or anything like that. Just a couple of drops of that in. And what happens with that, it helps it emulsify and mixes in with your water. And you get a really good contact when you're spraying on, especially your canes. Instead of it just running down, it's going to stick to it. It's going to adhere to the canes, especially the raspberries and the grapevines and any creepy crawlies that's in there, or any bits of skin that you've missed and you're spraying in there. The spray's getting in there and it's going to dislodge them and kill them. But especially for the strawberries now, I want a really good spray to get on there, stick to the leaves. The flowers are on. We've got quite a few flowers coming out now, so now's the perfect time to get that spray on, and then it doesn't do any harm whatsoever to the fruit. I'll probably get another spray, maybe in a month's time. Once the fruits just start forming, once the flowers die back and the fruits just start coming on, I'll probably get another spray on it then, and then that's it. I'll not get no more rhubarb because, as I say, fresh fruit, I like them tasting like that. I don't want them tasting of rhubarb juice or giving you a dicky stomach. But any brassicas, anything like that, you can spray it with this and not do any damage. Flowers, dahlias, chrysanthemums, spray everything with this with the rhubarb juice. Absolutely fantastic. You're going to check on that. Just starting to warm up nicely there now. Like an old Bunsen burner at school. One can of here, boiling away. Right, okay, so that's a rhubarb. It's on the go there now, it's boiling away. So this is our next one. Now, if you haven't got any garlics left hanging around the shed anywhere, you can easily buy one. You can easily buy a clove. It's cheapest chips to buy a clove. You'll not need probably a whole clove. As I say, as I explained again, I've got so much to spray. I'll probably use a whole clove, and it's an easy enough job to do. You see the chefs just give these a little whack on the table and they open the cloves up, no problem. Always end up with a broken hand. But there we are, I've just opened it up. Some fantastic little cloves. Well, I'll probably use the whole plant. When you open your clove up, when you open your garlic up, you'll probably end up with about 8 segments. So I'll use a lot. But once again, just be careful when you're making the spray because it really stinks. But it's it's nice and clean. It'll not kill the beasts or creepy crawlies. What it is, it's a preventative. And what it'll do, like anything garlic, I'm not keen on eating anything with too much garlic in, so I like it just to enhance the flavour, not to overtake it. Not like some of the I'll just put it on one side. Some of them can eat raw garlic and no thank you. But there we have it. Everybody's got their own taste. So I've got 3, 4, 5. I've got 7 cloves. 7 cloves there. Just out of that one young. And this is Isle of Wight garlic. This is the Isle of Wight small white. And I'll be planting a few of these in the tunnel. Maybe it's next week. I've had them in small pots because I never had a chance to get anything in the garden last year. I only struggled to get my Japanese onions in, and they're a bit poor, but I'm going to do a little bit of work on them this week. I'm going to give them a feed. So they should be getting a feed by now. So we'll do that in the next video probably. Talk a little bit about the onions, not the chew onions. But for the time being, as I say, the garlics, I'll probably put all that 7. I'll do exactly the same again. Just drop one. And what I'll do with this, if I'm using 7 garlics, I'll use a full one of them with fresh water into the pan, put the garlics in, and then once again do exactly the same as what you do in the rhubarb. Bring it to the boil and then just simmer. Let it simmer for a good 20 minutes, 25 minutes. until them cloves are really soft and mushy. And if you've got an old fork or an old titty masher or something with a little bit of get them out and crush them so they're nice and soft. Stir them into the mixture so you get all the goodness of that garlic into the mixture. So by the time you've used one of them and you've brought it to the boil and you've simmered it for 25 minutes, you should end up with half of that. So if you start with 2 litres, you should end up with at least 1 litre. If you're under the litre, when you finish straining everything through, and then just put it in your spray. Most of the sprays now are litre sprays, so pour it in your spray and top it up with cool water once again. Let it cool down, right down. Give it a good straining. Strain it a couple of times if you have to. Do exactly the same with the muslin. Keep straining it a couple of times and you'll get a lovely milky juice. Get that in your spray. And once again, a couple of good drops of washing up liquid in your spray. Give it a good shake, and that's good to use on all your brassicas, everything. It doesn't kill the bugs. What it does, it just leaves a nasty taste in the mouth, and the nuts are keen to come back. Especially in midsummer, when we've got the sprouts and everything out. What I like to do, I like to make a really big mix up with the garlic and use a watering can, a very fine rose. Same again, make at least 2 of them if you can. Tip them in your watering can and then just go along your rows and give them a good soaking, and that'll just puts a nice taste of garlic on all your brassicas, and it just stops them butterflies. If you've got nets on, it's fine, but you always get some little buggers manage to get through and get on your brassicas and start nibbling away, but that'll just be a good deterrent. So you've got your rhubarb, as I say. Don't forget your muslin cloth. Really good spray, your rhubarb. And what you want to do with that juice is you want to mix that 2 to 1. Once you've strained it off, you'll probably, if you've used a full one of them and you're down to 1 litre again, what you want to do with that, by the time you strain it off, if you're under the litre, that's fine. And what you want to do with that, with your rhubarb juice, is mix that 2 to 1 with your soapy water and your garlic, just straight through. You don't have to thin that down any. Just make it up to your, pour it into your litre spray and top your litre spray up. That's fine to use straight away like that. So that's really two really good sprays. Now if you just got a little white fly in that and you don't want to go to the bother of using these, and then warm water and a couple of good drops of washing up liquid in your water, and that does a fantastic spray. What that'll do is when you spray your white fly in that, what that does, it gets on that chest, gets into that gills in it, and the soap, and it chokes them, it kills them. It's a really friendly way of getting rid of, if it's just white fly. 9 times out of 10, when you start getting your bigger bugs like your caterpillars and that, move on to your garlic, or like I do, move on to the rhubarb. So I'd say 3 really fantastic sprays that we use. We don't like using any chemicals at all, if we can get away with it. Mainly the chemicals we use is when I've got to do the pathways. Say the last couple of years I haven't been able to get out on my knees and give them a good weeding out, but use a little bit of weed killer, but that's as far as it goes. As far as the plants are concerned, there's no chemicals whatsoever going on with us. It's all fresh, all organic. Same, grow exactly the same. Now and again we'll use a bit of what do you call the feeds on them, like I say there. If we use a bit of nitro choke on the onions in it, or a bit of sulphate of potash, which I'll be using today and tomorrow on the fruit trees. They're all in blossom now, so really this should have been done in March, but like I say, I'm just catching up with myself. But what I'll do in the next video, I'll show you that. We'll go around them, we'll give them all a good feeding of sulphate of potash, and just make sure they're getting plenty of moisture at their roots now. So I can hear that in the background, it's boiling away just nice there. It's nearly boiling, so I'm going to give it another 5 minutes. We'll put these garlics down for the time being, we'll put them on here. But as I say, if you're going to do the garlic one, make sure you well ventilate your home, or at least do it up the plot like what we do. We've got a little gas stove up here. As I say, I've done this about 4 years ago. If you're The wife didn't speak to us for about a week after that, but the stink of garlic right through the house. But the rhubarb's not so bad. You can't do that at home because you don't get much of a smell from that. But the garlic, I would advise you do it outside, even on a camping stove in the back garden, if you have to. But it's a real humdinger. Now there's some sprays and some feeds that we'll be doing through the summer that are just as bad, just as flipping stinky. One's a nettle juice. We love cooking the nettles down in water, and that really does stink, but it's a fantastic nitrogen feed, early feed for your young plants, and of course it's free. And the butterflies love it, so there's a patch over there, I'll show you probably in next week's video. There's a patch over there growing in between the raspberry canes, and I keep saying to Roger, don't dig it up, just let it grow, because if you get a nice big patch of nettles growing, 9 times out of 10 when you've got butterflies flying around, they'd rather land on the nettles than land on your cabbages. So, as I say, the nettles are great for an early feed for some of the plants, high nitrogen. So we'll show you how to do that one later on. But also with the rhubarb leaves, we'll do a video when the cabbages and when all the brassicas start getting planted out, and cabbage root fly. Everybody at one time or another will come in contact with it. And a lot of people don't know how to get rid of it. Well, once again, rhubarb. I use rhubarb leaves. Although we haven't got it in the garden, I still like to wrap all my roots individually. When I get your cabbages, grow them in pots, or your collies, sprouts or whatever. I grow mine in cups, and once I come out of the cup, I'll wrap them in a rhubarb leaf and plant them that way, and that keeps everything away from, keeps our roots nice and clean, cabbage root fly, or the other diseases and that attack them. But we'll talk about that later on. For the time being, it's chapping that and boiling away really nice here now, so I'm just going to turn that down. I'm going to watch it because the pan gets really hot, so I've always got to, when I'm working up the garden, I've always got to put the cloths handy. And that's down to a nice low gas, and that's on a rolling boil now. If I can take one of them leaves out, put that in there, just to show you what it's like. Now that'll just boil away and boil away and boil away for another 25 minutes, and you get already, you can see the juice coming off there now. That's fantastic. An old wooden spoon, if you've got one, or a bit of stick will do. Just keep stirring it. Give it a stir every couple of minutes. And it's been on there 5 minutes now. It's boiling, so I'll give it another 20-25 minutes. Let it cook away. Excuse me. Let it cook away, and then let it cool right down. I'll come back this afternoon. Once it's cool, we'll just let it steep for a few hours until this afternoon. Like I say, I'll come back up and we'll strain it off. I'm never in any hurry to do this, so just take my time and a first class spray out of it. And give it a good straining off and strain it again a couple of times. If you think you've got little bits of very fine fibre in your water, just keep straining it, and it'll eventually clear, and what you'll get is a nice green or a lime green liquid, and that's fantastic. But don't forget, mix that 2-to-1 with fresh water. So if you start with, like I say, if you start with 2 litres, you'll end up with 1 litre or just under that. And then, as I say, you mix that 2-to-1, so you've got a 2 litre spray of rhubarb. If you're doing with the garlic, don't water that down. You'll end up with, if you start with 2 litres, you'll end up with 1 litre after 25 minutes of boiling. Just use that as it is. If you're under the measure in a litre, top your litre spray up. It'll not be much. You should have just around about that. Just make sure you mush them garlic cubes in really, really well. Give them a really good mushing. Strain it off, and you've got a first class garlic. And don't forget your soapy water. Same with your rhubarb. Don't forget your soap. Really good couple of drops of washing up liquid. You don't have to use the best stuff. You can get a bottle of cheap stuff from one of the pound shops or whatever, and that's just as good. All you're doing, you're emulsifying what you're putting together with fresh water, and your soapy water is going to bind it. And of course, with your soap, going on your plants, it's going to adhere to your plants, it's going to stick to them, and it's going to really clear them bugs out. So that's a couple of good tips. But if you've got all the gear together, it's an easy job to do. Old cheap flour sieve and a couple of cloths, and you're good to go. And just spend a half an hour and you can make yourself 2 or 3 really good sprays up that you can start spreading on your garden. As I say, this afternoon I've got to get them strawberries done, so we'll knock off this morning. I'll knock the whippy hoses off. I'll get myself down for a bacon sandwich. As I say, Roger's still in Benny Dome, so I'm up on the early shift this morning, making sure everything's watered down. He'll be back tomorrow, so no doubt he'll be wanting to know what I've been doing for a week. But all I have done is potting off. Onions, we must have hundreds down here, but I'll show you them in the video this afternoon. The greenhouse over there is absolutely chocker with tomatoes. I don't know if I can turn this round far enough so you can see it. But if you remember these 2 greenhouses here we built last year, they've been really productive. Are doing really well. This one here, we've still got a little bit of heat on here, and this one here, and it's absolutely chock-a-block with tomatoes. But they'll go all around, family, friends, and as I say, we'll fill the greenhouses with polytunnels with them. I've got loads of cuttings in there, chrysanthemum cuttings. I've got dahlias budding. I've got chilies, peppers, cucumbers. There's all sorts in there. So I'm going to have to make a start on that greenhouse next week and start potting some of them tomatoes up into a decent sized bag, because as I say, it's only mid-April. It's far too early to even think about putting tomatoes out. So I'll pot them off next week, and what we'll have a first class tomato plant in a nice big pot or a nice big bag, good root system before it goes into the soil and the polytunnels, maybe second week of May. So we've got another 3 to 4 weeks yet to worry about that. But as I say, if I pot them up over the next couple of days, a decent sized pot, and they'll just grow away nice and easy, and you get a lovely big plant ready for planting out, as say middle of May. We don't really start putting anything out in the garden until the back end of May, especially the onions and that. They can stay in there. They're sitting on the bottom polytunnel. I'll put some new benches up, and they can sit there for another good few weeks. But I'm well pleased with that. As I say, the way things are going at the moment, they're as I say, the bottom tunnel's looking a bit sorry for sore eyes, but no doubt we'll get that cleaned off. The big 100-foot greenhouse here is a bit of a danger. As I say, we built that 20 odd year ago with some old pit props in a load of packing cases, so it stood the test of time. But unfortunately, it's so dangerous now that it's leaning right over. That's going to have to come down. So it's another big, massive job we've got to do in the back end of this year. We'll get a potato crop out of it. We might throw a few tomatoes in just to keep it ticking over. But what I'm intending to do over the summer months is get a load of timber. I've been promised a load of timber from the brother-in-law. So I'm going to start bringing that timber up. If it needs dressing with oil and preservative, we'll do that, and we'll stack it in under cover in that greenhouse. But then come August time, we'll have to take it down section at a time and rebuild it. But that's going to be a massive job that we do. Hope get a few of the friends to give us a hand, build the frames, get the frames put up, cement them in, and hopefully by next year we'll have a new greenhouse. We'll take this far end off here, and we'll cut it down to 40 foot, plus the greenhouse on the bottom, plus the shed. We'll end up with about 60 foot, whereas where it was 100 foot, we're going to have to sadly reduce it because we don't need the room now. We've got these 2 glass greenhouses, and we've got 2 big polytunnels, so I'm well chuffed for that. Anyway, I'm going to just get that in a little stir, let it go for another 10 minutes, and then let it cool down. That's ready for this afternoon. We'll strain it off. We'll do that when we come up. When it's cooled down, we'll strain it off, and then we'll start spraying the strawberries with it. We'll give them a good blast, and we'll start shifting some of these bugs. But for the time being, I'll see you again soon. Okay, right. We've managed to get back up this afternoon for an hour. As I say, I was up early on this morning getting the weepy hose not turned off. We're in a big 100-foot greenhouse. As I say, I don't like coming in here much because you can see by the rafters, all the pit props have snapped along the sides, and all that's holding it up really is the staging tubes in the centre, and that's giving it a bit of support. But we don't like to come in here much. we've got the strawberries and that up. It's after the last gale we had and it really pushed it over. And so this is definitely a job for next year. This has got to come down, so we keep out of here as much as we can. As I say, I've got the weepy hoses on the beds, and all I do is I just turn them on in the night time. The shelves are packed full of strawberries. So this was one of the main jobs I wanted to get done, get the spray done this morning. If I switch around here, you can see this is one of the lemons, sorry, that I planted 3 years ago. I planted it by chitting them in tissue paper in the greenhouse, just in a plastic box, just a sandwich container, tissue paper on, and chitted them till I got a little sprout on. It took a few weeks, but once I got a sprout on, I potted them up in little cubes and little trays and the way they grew. And this is in its 3rd year, but it's got a lot of leaf damage, so I want to make a rhubarb spray up the day. And as I say, get stuck in some of these, because if you don't attack them before the adults come up, from the eggs to the actual caterpillars, you're going to lose a lot of your crops. So best start attacking them early. Right, so here we are. This has been sitting since this morning when I boiled it down and I put the rhubarb into there. And that's just been draining off slowly. Let's get the last of that yellow gold out of there. If you remember, I filled half one of them pots up, a 2 litre one, and then I put the same again with water, and that's what I've got there. I've got a litre after it's been boiled on for 25 minutes. I've got a litre of juice. Now you can strain that again, keep straining it, you can strain it through tissue paper, anything you want, as long as you get all that damn fibre that's in there, because you can get some really thin fibres off the rhubarb still in the juice, and that'll block your sprayer up. So I've already got my spray there, and it's half full of just fresh clean water out of the tap. So we're going to make a 2-to-1 ratio, but before I do that, I did have some soft soap somewhere, and of course, as usual, I'll put it down. Doesn't make any difference what kind you use. This is the cheapest of the cheap, but it all works as long as you get a good concentration. And while this is still warm, after it's cooled down, that's when I like to put so a couple of good drops of washing up liquor, give it a good mixing up. So hopefully I'm going to have enough for 2 sprays here. Yep, there's the first one. Now that will go into the next spray. All I'm going to do is tighten that up, a good shake, and it should be really nice and soapy in there. That's lovely, that's what you want. Well, that's your rhubarb, 2-to-1, and a couple of really good drops of washing up liquid. And the way to test it, how I like to test it, is nice dry hand and just spray on. And if the soap sticks to it, which it is doing, stick in your hand, you've got a good mixture. So you can go on quite nicely. Just spray away. Here's one of my main priorities. That's a cracking looking strawberry plant. I'll just drop that for a moment and hold that. Now I haven't put any water on them this morning. I've let them dry out a little bit. I've actually just noticed there's a clip on that one. I'll take that clip out. That is one of the clips I used in the early part of last year when I took the rooted cuttings, and that's how I pegged the cuttings down. So you can show it's never been disturbed that, but there's loads of flowers in there, absolutely first class. But I've had a good look around. There's not a great deal on them. There's a little bit of whitefly. As I say, a whitefly you can combat with soapy water, not a problem. But when you start getting the beasties like the caterpillars and the other bugs that want to munch away, and then first get on them now and attack them. There's a little bit of whitefly on that leaf there, you can just see it. So, trying to miss the flowers and just give it a really good soaking, but get in the centre, down below, so the water and the soapy water travels down onto the roots, and of course I like to soak in the soil around it, because you get them scarlet flies start coming up at this time of the year. Our potting mix has got a little bit of horse manure in the September mix when we pot these up, so you will get a few scarlet flies. Once it starts warming up, you'll get them sprouting up and flying around, but the rhubarb juice will make good work of them. So it's as I say, that's a good start. I'll work my way along the strawberries, I'll get all them done. One of the other things I wanted to do, before I push that out of the way, I'll just I'll show you what's left in there, and you should have just like a nice bowl of rhubarb leaf. Now what you can do with that, you can hide in a bucket of water, and it'll do exactly the same thing again, without wasting it. Just leave it for a few days before it gets any mould or anything on the top. Just give it a good stir, and you can just pour it over. You put it in a water can and just pour it over your soil. You know, it'll kill any bugs that's on the top of your soils. As I say, it shouldn't harm any of the worms, because the worms will be down below. But on the top, when you get the bugs and that lying around, give them a soak with that, and that'll kill them off. So you get two uses out of that. Right, the grapevines. There we go. Now these are the ones we took last year. I just managed at the back end of the year to get when I was feeling just a tad better, I managed to get into the bottom greenhouse and cut some of the vines away, and there they are there. I took about 12 vines, and they're rooting away really nice. So they're first year vines. They'll just sit in that pot now. If you go back on my videos and I showed you how to take cuttings of the vines, I do a quarter of sharp sand in the bottom, and then when I take the vines, I stand them up in the sand, push them into the sand, and then pot around them and really ram it down so that they're nice and tight and they've got a good fix into the compost, and then just leave them, and they're fine. And they're all there, they're budding away really nicely. They'll sit in this pot now until June or July before I knock them out, and then I put them on. And there's one I done last year in July. I potted that one on. I've cut it back since then. It's a first class little vine that, you know, that can go into the greenhouse now, and it'll just romp away, and you'll actually get some fruit off that this year. So it's a first class little vine. Now we'll do some work on the vines next week in the next video, but there's another one there. My main job, and that's just the second year one. The main job is to give them all a really good spraying with this rhubarb juice, especially the canes, and then all the new fresh growth that's coming on there. Give them a really good spray with that, and that'll keep anything off. There's another lemon there. I'll show you that one. He's been potted up for. This is a second year one. This was set away 2 years ago and potted up the back end of last year, and now this is into its this is really into its second year. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 melons I've got. 4 lemons, sorry. So that's enough for me. And they're quite easy to grow. The trouble is, you've just got to keep an eye on them, that's all. I'm just going to swing around and point it towards that little beauty here, because what I have been finding is a lot of the leaves are getting marks on them, and of course that's a sign of bugs and caterpillars and that on. So best turn them over, turn the leaf round. You've got to watch with the lemons, because they've got really sharp spikes on these. And what I want to do is give it a really good soaking, top and bottom, because this will be going out in my patio in about 4 weeks time. But middle to the end of May, I'll be take it out and I'll be put on the patio, and sit in the patio all summer. Hopefully I might get some fruit on it this year. I'll have to have a read up, because it's in its third year. Really good spraying, happy with that. That'll kill off any caterpillars or bugs that's hiding underneath it. A really good soaking, and that thing can just drop down. I'll keep that nice and clean. Now I'm just hoping to get some flowers in it this year, and if we get flowers, well, we'll get some fruit, hopefully some small lemons for year 3. But really pleased with that, the way it's grown. And see, it was just a little experiment just to try out, see how they grow. But my main job of the night is to get along here and get these strawberries done. There's absolutely tons of them all the way along there, all the way down there, into the far end, and of course in the polytunnel as well. So I'll get cracking and get as much as I can done. Let's see, I've got enough for 2 full sprays to go right through, give them all a real good dousing. Notice a big bumblebee in there, so I'm going to stop spraying. Yeah, there's a big bumblebee there, and of course what he'll be doing, he'll be feeding on some of the flowers. So I'm just going to stop spraying for the moment. That's why I let it come up every night time. It's 4:45 now, and it's just starting to cool down. Been a lovely day, been nice and sunny. I've getting quite a bit done down home, potting off, and I've started potting some of the tomatoes up into the bigger pots because we need them doing. It's a job I've got to do this week, get all the tomatoes done. I've got cucumbers sitting there that need potting up, so I'm just going to have to get stuck in, just try and get as much as I can done. Roger's back tonight, so I think no doubt he'll be up first thing in the morning, and he'll have a look on, see if there's any water need doing. If there is, he can get that watered, and that's a job off my shoulders. I can come up and just start potting off and getting as much as I can done. Tomorrow, Sunday's always a busy day for me, Sunday afternoon. And then Easter Monday, I'll probably be up Easter Monday afternoon if we're not going out, me and the missus, and I'll get stuck in there and get a load of potting off done. But as I say, for the main job at night, if there's bumblebee, I think I'll go near that tunnel, because the last thing I want to do is to start spraying the flowers if he's feeding off it. Best thing early morning or last thing at night, do a spray in there when a lot of the bugs are way down here. You don't want to start destroying the bugs, especially the good bugs here, like the hoverflies and that, because they're your friends, they're your pollinators. You want to leave them. So as I say, just take it easy when you're spraying, especially when you're using rhubarb juice. Give them all a good spray, and it'll keep them nice and clean for at least a few weeks. But we'll leave it for the time being, and then if I get a chance next week, we'll do a garlic spray. Garlic's just the same, just to boil it down with your cloves, 3 or 4 cloves in a litre of water, a pint of water, boil it down till it's half gone, and then just mix it nice and soft and squishy. Mix it with a fork or an old teddy masher, really mashed in. You get a lovely juice. Do exactly the same, put through the muslin, squeeze it all out, and you get a nice juice out of that, and you can use that straight away. You don't have to mix with it. If you end up with, by the time you do a litre or a pint, by the time you do a pint, you end up with a half a pint. If you've got that half full with the garlic juice, and then you can top it up with fresh water right at the top. And once again, don't forget your washing up liquid, nice and soapy, and it'll just stick to your hands, and that's the idea. Same with your plants, it'll stick to your plants and it'll keep them nice and clean. Right, so I had plans to do some of the raspberry canes on this video, but unfortunately time's cut a little bit short this week. I've got loads to do, so I'm going to crack on, and I'll start the video off next week with the Jap onions. We're going to do some work on Jap onions. We're going to start feeding them, and hopefully this spray will last until Monday or Tuesday, when I can get out and I can start the raspberry canes, and I can do the grapevines at the same time. Just go down and give them a good spray down the vines on the canes itself and keep them nice and clean. But we'll do all that next week. If you can't wait for the video, you know where I am. I'm on my Facebook page. It's Jeff Foreman on the plot. We'll send our friends request, and we'll get you signed up and you can chat with us most nights through the week. You know, if you've got questions or answers, I'm also around, so you can post on my Facebook page, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If not, wait until the next video, which hopefully will be same time again next week. I'll do it on the Saturday. If I can't get it out on the Saturday night, I'll post it on the Sunday when it's a little bit more quiet. So, as I say, quiet in the plot at the moment, no chance. It's flipping manic up here. So we're going to crack on with the potting off, and we'll see you all again soon. Hope you enjoy the vids. As I say, we'll catch you next week. Okay, ta-ra for now.